Hey everyone, it's Rob Almy, FCS AI Integration Coordinator. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Today I am going to introduce to you a tool that can be used to create what we call audio overviews or podcasts. The tool that we are going to introduce to you to do that today, and the one that I think is most useful when it comes to making podcasts for educational purposes, is called Notebook LM. Notebook LM. So why should you do this? Well, with a podcast, it instantly transforms dense reading material into material that's accessible for your students. It creates an engaging audio file. It's a huge win for auditory learners. If you have auditory learners in your classroom, it's a huge win if you have students who need to review on the go. Because if you create a podcast and let's say you post it to Google Classroom, now the student has it at their access that they can listen at home, they can listen on the way to school, they can listen while exercising. Teachers, you might want a quick recap of some information that you are trying to learn yourself. And so the tool that I'm going to show you inside of Notebook LM called the Audio Overview will go ahead and help you to do that. So we're going to hop over to Notebook LM, and I'm going to minimize myself here and go ahead and open up my screen. So if you go up here into the URL bar and you type in notebook, I can spell, lm.google.com. So this is a Google product, right? So it's part of what we have as part of our Google suite of products as educators. So notebooklm.google.com, there in the URL, if you go ahead and click it. Okay, so it is going to come up with something that looks like this. Yours might look a little bit different than mine. I use a MacBook. I also have the dark background toggled on in my settings. Yours might be a white background in your settings. And so what we're going to do is come over here to the left side, and you see here it says create new notebook. If I go ahead and click on that, what's going to happen is that it is going to come up here with this pop-up window where we need some sources to put into it. Now, the neat thing about Notebook LM is it's kind of a digital notebook of different sources that you have. So when you create a notebook, you want to upload some type of source into that. Now, for the purpose of today's lesson, I am going to be uploading some slides that I made for a Bible class that I used to teach for epistles. But before I do that, I want to let you know that you can upload a number of different sources to your notebook in Google LM to make your podcast. You can upload up to 50 different sources. So let me tell you about some of the sources that you can use before we get on to how to create the podcast, the audio overview. So you can come over here to your Google Drive. You see over here in the bottom left of the pop-up window. If you click on that, it'll open up your Google Drive, and you can upload notes that you might have, slides. You can upload Google Sheets, basically any type of Google type of document. Now, you can also, and it looks like it closed out there, so let me open it back up. You can also go on the web, and if you have a link to a web page that you want to put in, if you just click link there, you can go website link, and you just go ahead and paste in the URL there. So let's say that I wanted to go to Fredericksburg Christian School, and I just collected the link for that. There it is. Hit copy. I come back over here to Notebook LM, and I just paste that link in there. And if I hit insert, it's going to insert that as one of my sources. Now, you may or may not have an opportunity or a reason why to upload the FCS website, but maybe there's some other website with a scholarly article or something like that that you want to include. You can also, in that window, have YouTube videos. So if you wanted to find a YouTube video, you just need to grab its URL. So to teach you how to do that real quick, you come over here, you go to YouTube, And then you named your video. Here's one on praying with children. That happens. Dr. Erwin Lutzer's focus on the family. So if I hit that, of course, it's going to come up with my ad. So as soon as possible, I'll skip that. There, I skipped that.
So critical
so let me
to
just pause it here. We're not going to listen to it. But if you come down here to share, you'll see when you hit share, it pops up with a window with a URL, a web address. You just copy that. If you come back over here to Notebook LM and you go to YouTube that you want to share YouTube, just like you pasted in a URL from a website, so you paste in that YouTube URL and it is going to insert that into your sources. Now, you can also just copy and paste text in. So if you copy some notes that you might have, if you're having trouble uploading the file, you can just copy and paste text inside of here and go ahead and do that. The last thing that you can do is you can just upload a Word file, a PowerPoint file. You can upload PDF files. You can upload images. You can upload audio files and video files. Almost just about every type of file now, Notebook LM has expanded it so that you can upload that as a source. So if I go to choose file here, it's going to pull from my hard drive on my computer, from my local computer there. And if you see at the bottom here, it says the supported files. You got PDF, text files, something called a markdown. You can do audio files, MP3. DocX is the Word. AVIF is probably some type of video. BMP, I think, might have to do with images. I know PNG does. You can do web pages, so forth and so on. So many different things. But if I click choose file here, it's going to open up for me. Now I'm in my Mac, so it's going to look a little bit different than it does for you on a Windows-based computer. It opens up File Explorer, and I could, choose any of these that I want to do. So here's a picture of a professional headshot. Here's something else, some type of file that I made, but this file here that's grayed out, it cannot upload. So it'll gray it out and not allow you to do it if it can't upload it for you. So for the purpose of today's exercise and showing how to make an audio overview in a podcast, I'm going to go over here to my Google Drive. And I'm going to go to my drive, and I'm going to go over to my epistles class. We'll see if this works. And you see I have all folders. We took the epistles one epistle at a time. Okay, so here is one from the book of Hebrews. If I go ahead and click that, I can insert or double click it. Now what it's done is gotten rid of that window, and over here on the left side in this column, you see sources that are right here. Okay, and what it has done uploaded over here on the left side is that Hebrews presentation. It has a check mark next to it. And so I could actually upload up to 50 sources over here on the left side. Now, as I did that in the middle window, which is called our chat window, it's giving me a summary of what that source is about. Now, you can also search directly from the web right here if you didn't want to go ahead and copy and paste URLs. You can also do deep research here, which is a really neat feature. And so I have my source upload. Now, I'm just going to use the one source. Again, you can use multiple sources for that. But then I'm going to come over here to the right side, to the third kind of a column on the right side. And there I'm going to do audio overview. Now I can just click audio overview and it will immediately begin to generate what's called a deep dive, which is the default that it goes to when you just click the button. And it'll be about a 12 or 13 minute podcast that it creates based on that source of those teaching notes that I had that I would have displayed in the classroom to the students on the book of Hebrews. But instead of doing that, I want to show you, if you click on the little pencil here, if I click on that pencil, I can edit it. And so it comes up with this pop-up window, and I can tell it what format. And you see, again, the check mark is on the deep dive. So a deep dive is a lively conversation between two hosts, unpacking and connecting topics in your sources. Okay, so it's going to be two hosts taking a deep dive into the book of Hebrews. Now, I can also make it brief. This is a bite-sized overview to help you grasp the core ideas from your sources quickly. This is going to generate a 2 to 3 minute type of podcast audio overview for you. You can also do a critique where the two voices, there's an expert review of your sources offering constructive feedback to help you improve your material. And you can also cause it to do a debate. Now, if you select deep dive, you also have the option of making it short, medium, which is the default, or long. So a short podcast, I think, is probably going to be 3 to 5 minutes. Medium is more in the, I don't know, 8 to 13, 14-minute range, and then long, I think, is more of 20 minutes. And then you could also choose the language. Here, it, of course, defaults to English, but just to show you, gosh, look at all of those different languages. If you happen to have a student that maybe needed a second language in the podcast, you could create a podcast in that language. And then the last thing down here is really kind of a neat thing. You can kind of tell the hosts what to focus on. And so in this case, I'm going to tell the host to focus on the authorship of the book of Hebrews. Now, if you don't know, the book of Hebrews, some have attributed it to Paul, some have attributed it to that early super apostle named Apollos, some have attributed it to other people. It's largely unknown who wrote the book of Hebrews. And so it's a little bit of a question for scholars. And so I'm asking them to focus on that aspect of it. And so you can kind of give it a little bit of custom instruction about what you want it to focus in on. And so I'm going to leave it on the deep dive there. And I am going to make it medium. So I'm going to leave it on the default there and leave it on English. And then all I have to do after that is hit generate. Okay, so we're back. It has generated. Let's go ahead and take a listen. So if we come over here to this first one and we go ahead and hit play, let's listen to it for a moment.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking on a book known for its rich, complex theology, but also for its fascinating and pretty enduring mystery. We are diving deep into the Epistle of Hebrews.
That's right. And Hebrews is, well, it's just utterly unique among the New Testament writings. It functions less like a personal letter and more like this incredibly powerful sermon.
Okay, so what's our mission today?
Our mission is surgical. We're going to extract the core insights from the source material about its really difficult context, its groundbreaking theological arguments, and critically, we have to talk about the long-standing debate over its authorship.
Right, because the identity of the writer here is way less clear than for almost any other apostolic letter.
It really is.
And that lack of clarity is part of the hook, isn't it? This letter was likely written around AD 65, and the stakes for the original...
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. So that just created a 16-minute podcast based on those slides that I had uploaded from the book of Hebrews. Okay, I asked it to do a deep dive. I asked it to do a medium length, and then I had given it that prompt. And I don't know if you caught it at the very end when before we stopped listening, that it began to focus on the authorship, just as we had instructed it to do so. So pretty neat there. Let's take a listen to the one that we made for third graders. And there was, remember, a little bit more brief. We had set it and customized it to be brief. And let's see if it might be understandable for third graders.
This is the brief on the book of Hebrews. We're looking at a powerful letter written around AD 65. It was for early Jewish believers in Jesus who were facing really hard times and maybe felt like quitting. This letter was sent to encourage them to stay strong in their new faith. Okay, so it gives us 3 big ideas to help us stay strong too. First, the main idea is that Jesus is superior to everything else. The book shows he's better than the old ways and religious traditions they knew. He's even greater than angels. He is called the founder and perfecter of our faith, and God has spoken to us right through him. Second, the book explains that Jesus created a new, better way to connect with God. See, under the old...
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. So that was a brief, right? So look there, 1 minute and 27 seconds. And it did sound a little bit more elementary. I don't know if you would say that was exactly for a third grader, maybe for a fifth or sixth grader, but it's pretty understandable for sure. So 2 podcasts that we created there, just again, based on that one source. You could do it on multiple sources, but that was just based on the one source of Hebrews. Now, here's what I want to encourage you to do before I show you how you can go ahead and use this. What you need to do is make sure that you listen to it, right, before you put it out to your students. Again, we got to keep the human in the loop. We got to rely on our ability as educators to bring wisdom and discernment. Here's the neat thing about Notebook LM, and if you were at the Notebook LM jam session at the upper school, or you get to come to the one at the lower school, what you will hear me say is the neat thing about Notebook LM is that it has far less hallucinations, there's mistakes, than say ChatGPT or Gemini. Why is that? The reason is because it only uses the sources that you upload to it. So Notebook LM has not gone and searched all of the internet for information about Hebrews. It is simply taking the information that is in those slides. And so that affords us a greater level of protection against the hallucinations, against the things that AI sometimes gets wrong. Now, you still want to listen to it because it can still go off the rails, and it's our duty as educators to go ahead and to listen to it and make sure that it's okay. So I do want to encourage you to do that, but I wanted to let you know about that special feature of Notebook LM, that it just uses your sources. So let's say that I wanted to use this first one here. What I'm going to do is go over to the three little dots here from More, and I click that. I can rename it. I can download it. Now I can share it. Let me say a word about this, about sharing. Right now, you can only share it with others that have access to Notebook LM. Now, all of us as educators at FCS have access to Notebook LM, but right now, students do not. So you cannot just share it with students. What you need to do is you need to download it. And so that is this button right here. So if I click download, it's going to go ahead and download that to my download folder. Okay, and so once I have done that and I have downloaded it to my computer, I can then go to Google Classroom and post that in Google Classroom. I can then go and upload it to an email, attach it to an email that I might be sending to my students. I could make it as part of a newsletter. I can put it in a Google document. Whatever it is and wherever it is that I need it, you can then go ahead and do that. And so that's the way that you go ahead and you can use the downloaded podcast, and you can share it with others in that way. Again, you cannot do a direct share with your students, but you can go ahead and download it, and you can go ahead and use it. So I hope this video piqued your interest a little bit. As always, using AI is like riding a bike. You can study about riding a bike, but you got to get on, and you got to balance, and you got to pedal, and you got to steer. And so I encourage you to go ahead and to experiment with it. And educators, I would also encourage you that maybe you're not going to use it necessarily for your class, but use it for yourself. I know my first year when I had to teach world geography, I mean, I had taken geography in the past, but I had to learn it as I went as well. And so having a tool like this, you can go and get resources, create your own podcast, and when you go out for a walk, you can listen to it to learn about anything that you want, whether that's related to school and to your work as an educator, or maybe it's for personal use as well. But again, hope that's helpful, and you take care, and God bless.